Hello and welcome to another episode of the Jungle Gyms Wednesday TikTok. To be corrected, guys. I am happy to be here with you, especially after last week when we kind of left on a cliffhanger. When we had two massive games ahead of us: the Motherwell game, which seems a lifetime ago, and obviously the Hearts game at Parkhead, which could have been a title decider. Here we are now. We've got smiles on our faces. We're all wearing hoops. We're in unison. Happy days. Happy TikTokers. We're going to get into the game, the emotions of winning the league. And before we do that, we will get very much to the fallout of the meltdown that's incurred, not just in Scottish media, but in British media. We'll get to all that. Firstly, before we're hitting all the talking points tonight, welcome to the viewers. If MD is watching, get your comments coming in. I'm happy to interact with you. James, Tattoo James, wearing the tartan hoops top. Before we get into it, how are you? Good to see you, mate.
It's good to see you both as well. I'm fine.
Excellent. And younger James, wearing the lovely hoops top. Is there a name for it? Is it just the one that we never played in?
That's it. The best Adidas top, I think.
Is it the 140th anniversary top or something?
It was, wasn't it?
That'll be it. How are you, James?
Aye, brand new, mate. Brand new, really good. So we've talked about it earlier on. I don't think there's been a better week for the Rangers game. Obviously, right through to the weekend just gone. There's probably no been many better weeks to support Celtic. 3 brilliant games, each in their own right, and obviously getting the prize at the end. It was a wee cherry in the top.
Absolutely. And hello to Paddy, and hello to the wee scout. Nice to see you, champions. Ole ole. Guys, before we get into the main talking points, I just kind of want to touch on Mick Galloway, who unfortunately passed away yesterday. This is why I'm actually wearing the hoops top from the mid-90s, because it does kind of feel reminiscent, and it's also one of my favourite hoops tops. So just to remind anyone who didn't really know much about Mick Galloway, Mick Galloway was a midfielder, a lifelong Celtic fan. He was tempted to Parkhead back in 1989 from Hearts for a fee of £500,000. He was a hard-tackling, aggressive ball winner. A red-haired Galloway was actually a former Rangers trainee, believe it or not. Started his senior career with Berwick Rangers, and after spells at Mansfield Town and Halifax, where he played as a centre-half, he then moved to Tynecastle back in 1987 for about £50,000, £60,000. But it was a bargain buy in the eyes of many, and his versatility was key. He was used in defence, midfield and attack, and plus coupled with his combative performances, these were a reason why the Edinburgh side were able to push Celtic all the way 40 years ago. In fact, it was about was it 1987, 1988, the centenary year, in fact, where they pushed us. That's where he was playing for them. But Mick Galloway, during that time, he also kind of gained a reputation for scoring important goals, actually against both Celtic and Rangers, and also on the European stage. But it was his aggressive and wholehearted attitude, which was appreciated by the fans. And he signed for Celtic. And in 1992, in October, he fired home a 35-yard screamer at Dens Park. And on his game, Mick Galloway was a solid enforcer for us. But at other times, he did have some slackness, which cost him. And ultimately, some managers came and went, and his lack of discipline off the field saw Galloway lambasted by Lou Macari over missed training sessions, which was a touch ironic, taking into account Macari's absence record while manager at Celtic. Moving on from that, Galloway did sustain a serious injury from a car crash, which would ultimately end his football career prematurely. He was awarded a benefits game in 1996 by Celtic when a Celtic team played against former Celtic players, including Kenny Dalglish, and it was a 24,000 crowd that provided a considerable fund to assist him. Obviously, in those days, testimonials meant a great deal for people as a kind of send-off, and with the tragic kind of demise of his career, obviously that went a great deal to kind of giving him some financial relief for that period whenever he had to hang his boots up. Unfortunately, Mike Galloway, he never got any silverware with Celtic. He never played in the Scottish Cup final either, that Celtic won. The first since May 1989, just a few months before Mike Galloway had arrived for Celtic. That was when we'd last had silverware. But for such a wholehearted player, he really did deserve something from his time. But me personally, when I grew up, I had photos of Mike Galloway. I remember what it looked like. I couldn't really remember much of his playing style. I think I was about 8, maybe 9 whenever he left Celtic. So I've got vague memories of him. But obviously, once you're part of the Celtic family, you're never forgotten. So just wanted to say rest in peace to Mike Galloway, and thoughts with his friends, family, and obviously the kind of wider Celtic community as well. It's good to remember the kind of past people who did play for Celtic. Older James, any memories yourself of Mike Galloway playing for the Hoops?
I'm a bit older than you, but I can remember him scoring a couple of goals in Europe from memory. In fact, one away from home. Couldn't tell you who it was against. In my head, he came here as some sort of Murdo McLeod-esque type player, who was combative in the middle of the park and had a pile driver of a shot. He had a pile driver. I can't remember him I can't remember much about his play. That's really all I can remember about him. But it's obviously sad that when a cell goes.
It really is. It is. Right, well, moving on from that, it looks like younger James has got technical issues, but that will not stop us from moving on. So, James, the weekend. What a marvellous, marvellous weekend. Before we get to all the highs and the joys and the emotions that we've been through and that we're still going through, I want to talk to you about the fallout, the meltdown. Now, I appreciate that everybody loves an underdog story, and Hearts were the underdog. So if you don't have any affiliation with Scottish football, then I can understand why people might be gunning for Hearts to win the league. And they took it to the final game of the season, 3 minutes before full time, and it got taken away from them because they just got bettered by the best team in the league.
Yes.
So no coincidence there, it just caught up with them. However, the people in the media quarters who have been vocalizing their opinion, fair enough, like everyone's getting an opinion. I've got no qualms with people wanting Hearts to win the league, but the fallout from certain people, and especially more so in Scottish media, has been beyond what I had anticipated happening. So I was wondering, how have you processed the meltdown that's happened so far since Saturday?
So it'd be really flippant to say just inject it into my veins, because it's just been outstanding, right? We can hold this isn't very popular in today's society where everything's polarized. You can have two opinions, right? We shouldn't have went onto the park, but we were the better team. Everybody had written us off, and that's part of the reason why everything happened. Everybody had written us off, but the media agenda has been it's been hilarious. Bill Leckie, Keith Jackson, all they want to talk about is the fact that Celtic went onto the park. Hearts were hard done to. Hearts were robbed. If Hearts were that good, the league would have been won weeks ago. Yeah. If Hearts been as great as everybody said they are, the league would have been won ages ago. The fact that we were hanging in there, and what has been probably the least technical Celtic side there's been that I can remember in a long, long time. The least technical side is hung in there. I think that's broken them, because I think they had all thought, 6 weeks ago, it was either Rangers or Celtic. Sorry, Rangers or Hearts. That was who was going to win it. It could only be Rangers or Hearts. And then Rangers imploded. Hearts took, 3 points for their last 7 home games. That's no championship winning form. That's not how you win leagues. 80 points they won. They accrued, which is a great total for them. When Derek McInnes finished second with Aberdeen, he accrued 79 points. There wasn't this meltdown when Aberdeen didn't win it. It's because they took us to the last couple of minutes, and I understand that. But Derek McInnes came with a game plan, and he shat the bed. He played Kabori up front instead of Braga against a very weak and fragile Celtic defence. He played for a draw. They were falling down for the whole game. They were falling all about. It wasn't. They didn't play to win that game. They played not to lose that game. Typical Derek McInnes. He shat it. The fallout has been embarrassing. Hearts. This is now Wednesday, and Hearts still haven't said congratulations, Celtic. They've released statement and great about everything, and they've still not said congratulations, Celtic. You accrued more points than us this season.
And kind of building on the comments from yourself, James, for the wee scout, I am ashamed at how the mainstream media have behaved. Plenty of veils have fallen and shown their ugliness. Well, James, it has been coming from all quarters. You had, there's been several incidents which have really triggered people, and I guess it probably came from whenever Rangers knew that they were out of the reckoning. Once they were consigned to third place, I've had a Rangers friend of mine has been talking so much about the penalty that we got against Motherwell, and I'm thinking, look, unless you're a Motherwell fan, Hearts fan, probably just sit this one out, because at that point, before the game kicked off, you were already, assured of third place. This does not affect you, but it's pundits associated with Rangers who can't take it. There's just been so many different examples. So obviously, you've had Tony Bloom on TalkSport. You had Jim White kind of verbally attacking Martin O'Neill on TalkSport. Barely finished his sentence of congratulating Celtic before he started on the kind of hyperbole of the disgraceful scenes. Mark Guidi on Super Scoreboard. It's like nobody's ever seen a pitch invasion before. Nobody can agree with the handball. Hearts were robbed and stuff like that. Like, I agree with James. It has been delicious, but at the same time, it seems like a little bit beyond the pale. There's no balance to the conversation anymore. So what's been your kind of reflection on it so far?
Pretty similar, to be honest. Like I say, the pitch invasion, as much as it shouldn't happen, it happens. It happens everywhere. It happens all the time. It's happened for decades. I mean,
it happened for that Derek McInnes team whenever he got promotion for Kilmarnock.
100%.
66 England, 66 in the World Cup. It happened at Lisbon in 67. It happens. It's a part and parcel of football. Whether you like it or no is obviously up to your own opinion. I personally, I don't like it. I think it's all kind of performative, to be honest with you. I don't particularly like it, but the statement that Hearts put out, obviously saying that players had been assaulted, if that's happened, then obviously it's bang out of order. And to be honest with you, I think some of the videos I've seen people run up to Shankland and all that, I think that's bang out of order as well. But at the same time, to call it an assault has probably gone a bit too far. Well, it's definitely gone too far. And then I seen that Tony Bloom had come out the day and said that condemning the scenes and everything else, and then it was that I think his exact quote was 1 or 2 Hearts players were assaulted. And I'm like, well, this is Wednesday, and that happened on Saturday. I'm like, so was it 1? Was it 2? I'm like, you would have your story straight by now. And everything we've seen on social media, like I says to you, is anybody that's ran on that park and immediately took their phone out, if you're the early age of about 12, you should get about in the buzz and tell to get back in the stand. That should be the be all and end all. If anything other than that has happened and it's gone a bit further, then absolutely toss the book at them. But for what we've seen, there hasn't been anything. There's been a lot of words said and no anything at all that we've seen a back up. Like you say, it's kind of getting back to like Leicester, even in a sense the new with Spurs. I think everybody kind of wants Spurs to get relegated. So everybody kind of just sees it whatever way they want to see it, because you wanted to see Leicester win the league. Everybody wanted to see Hearts win the league, and I know that Gary Lineker and Simon Jordan and everybody else has come out and had their say, and obviously all the kind of Rangers supporters, Hearts supporters are kind of swallowing that. And I said the same thing since I've seen their tweets and everything. The only reason these guys are actually watching Scottish football is because they want Hearts to win the league. If Celtic, if it was any other season, they couldn't have even told you who was playing that night. Do you know what I mean? So the only reason they've watched it is obviously because they want Hearts to win the league, which is totally understandable. As you say, everybody loves an underdog story. But as James said, it was all there for Hearts. And to be totally honest with you, we'll obviously come on to discuss the game. But until Callum Osmond kind of took 2 or 3 touches after the halfway line, it was then and only then did I think, right, we've done this now. This is, we're the champions here. Genuinely, that was the only time I thought it. So as I say, a lot of words and not a lot to back it up. Maybe that will change through time and my opinion will change. But at the moment, in my opinion, there's been a pitch invasion. Pitch invasions happen. Part and parcel of football. It's just sour grapes and bad losers, isn't it?
Indeed,
100%.
indeed. And speaking of bad losers, Hearts crying over some sectarian words directed at a player that they must be quick to forget what McInnes was singing about not too long ago. Exactly. Thank you for saying that. For Paddy, for neutrals, it'd be great for a non-Glasgow team to win the league. Yeah, I totally get that. But from a bias point of view, get it right, fucking ruinies. To be honest, I'm a total hypocrite because I have said in this podcast that wouldn't it be good to have more competition in Scottish football? And I've kind of harkened back to the 80s whenever you had a strong Rangers. Apart from Celtic and Rangers, you had a strong Dundee United under the stewardship of McLean, and you had a strong Aberdeen, of course, as well. Obviously Hearts were kind of there and thereabouts 40 odd years ago. So I've kind of said, wouldn't it be nice to have that added competition? But I can't take that. If I'm being honest, I can't take that this season. It's been far, far too much. Obviously, going back to the quotes of Brendan Rodgers that we were the architects of our own stress. Absolutely. If we were not an under par, under strength Celtic team, if we had, played as well as we could have this season and the competition was there, then fair enough, that's a different element. But the frustrating thing about this whole season was that we had shot ourselves in the foot and then we were trying to play recovery, play catch up. And it just seemed every decision that we made off the park was just kind of hurting us even further. So it was just an interesting dynamic, an uncomfortable dynamic this season. But fortunately, with Martin O'Neill, just kind of steering us through these choppy waters, we've somehow navigated ourselves towards winning the league again, which it's just incredible. I want to kind of tell you about where I was for the cup final. So I've got a season ticket, but unfortunately, me and my wife went to Prague. I hadn't even considered the dates that my wife had suggested. And I just realised after we'd already booked it that I was going to miss the final game of the season. But at that point, I didn't know if it would be in our hands or not. Obviously after the Motherwell game, we're flying the day after the Motherwell game, and I'm thinking, Christ, I'm going to miss it. But part of me was thinking, because of the stress, I felt sick to my stomach, that I would rather be in a different country to watch it. But I think, on reflection, it would have been more enjoyable and more fun and less stress to actually be at the game. But we went to an Irish bar in Prague, labelled as an Irish bar, Rocky O'Reilly's. But we got there an hour before and we're wearing our colours. We're in a prime position for the main screen. And then the pub starts to fill up. And there's a lot of English people coming in. And it seems that they're in just to maybe take in the Scottish game, but they're also here for the Man City and the Chelsea game afterwards. And then I start hearing these Edinburgh accents. And lo and behold, they're wearing maroon t-shirts, maroon trainers. Nobody's actually properly wearing their colours, They never had the guts to do that. But 2 large tables fill up with Hearts supporters. And then before kick-off, the pub is quite full. There was only one other Celtic fan actually wearing colours. So it kind of felt a wee bit uncomfortable. But whenever Hearts scored, lo and behold, all the Hearts fans skiing it loud, loving it. And then whenever Maida scored, obviously we equalised, but when Maida scored, I was off my seat. I was roaring with delight. And then it gets called offside, and they're all laughing at me, thinking, more fool you. And then I'm watching the replay. I'm like, it's onside. It's onside. Teaching my wife the offside rule. I'm like, that's definitely onside. And then, of course, it gets overturned. The goal is given, and the Hearts fans shut up. See that whole experience watching the game in that pub. It was such a gut-wrenching turmoil of emotions. I don't ever want to go through that again. I was so relieved at the end whenever we won, and whenever Callum Osmond was bearing down on goal with nobody in front of him. It's one of the best feelings I've ever had watching a football game. But it must pale in comparison to what it was like for you guys. So, James, older James, can you describe your experience of the game before, during, after? Can I just give you the credit? You've always been optimistic. You always thought that we were going to win this league, even when the chips were down. So fair play to you. But describe your day, the emotions, memorable things.
So, as I said in the chat, we were in the pub quite early. There was a lot of police about, so we ended up in the street. So I was really sober, and I can honestly say I don't really remember much about the game. It was so nerve-wracking. It was I was unbelievably nervous, and my seat looks right along the in between the penalty spot and the 6-yard box. So I looked right along that. So we could see it was onside. Right, we knew he was onside. But see that weight between the ball hitting the net, the flag going up, and then the VAR, and we're standing there saying he was onside. Right, yeah. He was definitely onside, and you're looking down and you could see Callum McGregor pointing at the bench. Mulder's son was at the under-16s cup final on Saturday and Sunday at Celtic Park, and he said there's like a bank of like screens in the dugout because they were right behind the dugout. One of his pupils was playing in it, and he said there was so the benches have obviously seen it and they know it's onside. So you could see Callum McGregor reacting. When you're looking back now, you're saying it was coming. The second goal was coming, and he actually hit the post. And Grin made him pull off a cracking save. We were picking pockets, we were picking into channels. The goal was coming. That wasn't how I felt in the stadium. And as you say, I've said all along that I thought we would win it, but I was puckering the whole game. If it was that bad, like I had forgot my sunglasses for at the derby, so I couldn't take my sunglasses with me on Sunday. I had the same scarf in my pocket. I had honestly, I was the exact same clothes I had on.
Same knuckles.
Exactly. And I hadn't even washed them. I just folded them and put them in the drawer so they were ready for the next week.
Inside out.
My oldest son, he'd put on he hadn't put on shorts the week before, so he's cutting about in a pair of black combat trousers because that was what he'd done the week before. He was sweating. It was. We do need more competition, but as long as that competition's 15 points behind us, come October, I'm fine. That's the way it's got to be. It was so nerve-wracking. But see when the VAR came in and the second goal, I don't even remember chanting. I don't even remember tequila. I don't even remember Maeda. I don't even remember that. And then when the ball broke and you could see Osman and the actual Forest running towards us, it was just. But everybody was just cheering from the pass from McGregor to Osman, and it was, I mean, to jump back a second, see the volume of the roar when the VAR decision went in.
Yeah.
It was almost as loud as the
George Cadetti goal.
Almost as loud as the George Cadetti goal. It was amazing. But see, everybody that talks about getting rid of VAR, maybe make VAR better, but see, without VAR, we're miles behind in that league. Douglas Ross chopping the goal off against Hibs. It was a penalty against Motherwell, no matter what anybody says, it was a penalty. The VAR, that goal there, it's countless decisions that we wouldn't have got without VAR.
Absolutely. I know. In terms of VAR, it's certainly a flawed system, but you can't go back to the Stone Age now. You know.
No.
I think it's just a case of trying to refine it, try to perfect it, try to bring in better professionals, full-time professionals to work with it. And from Nathan Watson, hope you're doing well. You managed to get a ticket outside, and it's the most nervous you've been, especially when Trusty was on the ball. That was an interesting thing about the tactics of Hearts allowing Trusty. Normally, Scales has been allowed to kind of dwell and linger on the ball, but this time it was Trusty, and he had a hell of a lot of possession. James, were you sitting in your usual seat? I don't know. Yeah, so you were with your wee boy. Must have been a great experience for him. Hopefully, he's old enough to remember it now.
Aye, he's 6 now, so I said that to him. I says, you'll probably remember this for the rest of your life. Obviously, I don't think he definitely didn't fully kind of obviously know the kind of circumstance and the importance, just how big the game was, and kind of everything that came with it. But he had the time of his life. But I was very much optimistic. Even me and James obviously were kind of lucky enough to get tickets for Fir Park on Wednesday night, and I think it was like the 95th minute at Fir Park when we couldn't get the ball off Motherwell. I turned around to the guy next to us and I says, "Party's over." I was like, "That's it, done." I think at that point we had to beat Hearts 3-0 if it finished the way it was. Aye. I says, "Well, we're no doing that." And then, to be fair, he says to me, I need to take a leaf out these optimistic folks' book. He turned around and he says to me, he's like, "There's always a chance." And then 20-30 seconds later, I'm down on my hands and knees praying that he gives the penalty. And at that point, I don't think anybody in the stadium knew what he'd went after to look at. Like James says, though, it is a handball. We initially thought it was for the elbow. I think Trusty milked it was for all it was worth, to be fair to him. But the handball's out, and obviously that gets you right back in it. But even getting into Saturday, I just wasn't confident. It's just the way Celtic's been. We've won, was it 7 games or 6 games in a row at that point? I don't fancy no fancy the raw season to go on a run. I'm like, it's going to have to end at some point. Or it's daft, all the stuff that goes through your head. But then when Hearts went 1-0 up, obviously you know where I sit, and everybody is sitting at that wee bit, and we're going, somebody needs to go and Shankland had the full of Glasgow at that back post. Obviously sticks it away. The kind of Brucey bonus is we get that penalty just in the stroke of half time. I do think it would have been probably a different game if we went in 1-0 down.
Can I just pause you for a second? How remarkable is it? So it's been pointed out to me that Hearts have not conceded a penalty this season in the league, and yet they concede one on the final game of the season. Fuck me, man. You know, it came at the right time.
Well, obviously we'd paid the referees off for that, so it was always coming. But no, obviously I think that obviously puts us in a totally different mindset. Parkhead was rocking even at the half-time whistle when it was still obviously 1 each. And then you come out for the second half and time's going on and you hit the post and you think, it's just not going to be the day. And then, as you say, Nygren forces a good save at the goalie. Right, surely. And I was kind of similar. I'm sitting behind the goals, but I was like, I see Osman's ran in front of a defender there. I'm like, he looked definitely onside. But then I'm thinking, it was a cutback, wasn't it? Maida is behind the ball. Obviously, it all happens that fast. The flag goes up for offside, so we're all stalling, and you can see McGregor pointing there, and you can actually see it on Sky as well. It was Iheanacho, I noticed. He went down on his knees and he's pointing up to the sky, and I'm thinking to myself, was he celebrating because he knows it's a goal, or is he just kind of praying, hoping that we get the goal?
Or has he done his hamstring?
Aye. But then obviously it gets given, and even at that point, me and my pessimistic kid were jumping a bit daft, and I'm looking up to the clock. Kind of ticking on to 90 minutes, 8 minutes got. I'm like, that's too early to be a late winner. Based on how we've been this season, it's too early to be a late winner. And then obviously it was as if in that wee kind of, well, not even 8 minutes, but the wee kind of last 5-6 minutes in extra time, I think everybody's legs turned to jelly, their ankles turned to chocolate, and we just forgot how to defend, and it was daft fouls, and none more so than the one we end up scoring for. The McGregor runs out, totally needless foul. And then, as I say, genuinely, only when Callum Osmond takes his second or third touch inside our half, and I can see the Hearts team essentially geeing up chasing him. I'm like, right, that's us. That's it done. That's it. We have actually done it. And it's just sort of saying that on the bus. I was like, I've so many games this season, and obviously into the split as well. The overriding emotion at the end at full time has been thank fuck. And then as you go into the split, it's still the same. You're still thinking thank fuck. But all it does is make the next game that bit bigger, that bit more important, that you need to win. And then obviously at the end, it was the biggest thank fuck of them all. But I tell you, man, I'm going to be chasing the dragon now. I have never felt a feeling like that when Osmond ran through and you knew it was done. That had my season book for years. Barcelona, AC Milan, Man United, all of them doings against Rangers, 5-0, 5-1, the 3-0 game, everything. And I have never, ever felt a feeling like that. Just sheer relief and brilliant, absolutely brilliant. As I say, I'm going to be chasing the dragon for that feeling now at Parkhead again.
Aye. Yeah, again, I'm jealous. I'm jealous that I never got to experience it firsthand like you guys did. It was, I don't know, possibly worse watching it in the pub. Maybe it was. The game itself, I'm not going to dissect it. Not even in the mood for it, because like it's just the overwhelming, emotion of winning it. That's the most important thing here. But the subs, okay. The tactical change from Martin O'Neill. Now, some people say it's genius, but being realistic, we have to win this game. We have to get a winner. So Martin goes to 3 at the back. So I totally get that. If chasing the dragon, Martin O'Neill must stay. So we go 3 in the back, and ironically, we kind of almost do a Wilfred Nancy formation here at this point. But it makes sense because we need the winner. So we take off a defender, and it works. The personnel that we bring on, though, Sriracha, Osmond. I don't even know if Iheanacho came on. No, Iheanacho came on in the second half. But the substitutions, the impact that people made. Iheanacho, just every ball, like it was wrapped into him, fired into him, and his close control. He was just taking a touch and he was beating a man. Like Iheanacho looked on fire in that game. Osmond, like what word can I use for Osmond? It seemed like everything that he was doing had menace to it. The guy looks like Saviola, the wee boy who played for Barca in Argentina a long time ago. And for him, like that was his third professional appearance ever in the game. I think he had 2 at the start of the season, or well, after Brendan Rodgers went away, after Martin O'Neill came in, he had two games. One against Rangers, the second one, the following one, he get injured, and that was him out for 6 months. Can you imagine him like kind of working back to full fitness with this one singular goal in mind? And I was reading an interview from him today, and how much admiration he's got for Martin O'Neill, and he said Martin O'Neill would encourage him. He would have just like wee words of encouragement for him every single day. He says you knew that he cared for you, and he was checking up on your progress. That must have been the polar opposite to what he received under Brendan Rodgers, because he must have been a ghost at Parkhead whenever Brendan Rodgers was the manager. Rightly or wrongly, well, I would say wrongly, because we've seen what the guy's talent is like, but Osmond was consigned to the B team under Brendan Rodgers. But going back to his recovery from injury and having this goal in mind of like, I might be able to actually contribute something to this team, and the run into the game, last game of the season, comes on as a substitute, and it's Roy the Rover stuff. Scores a goal, sets up one, and even other things like just that wee flick for Nygren. The ball gets wrapped into Osmond, a little flick to Nygren, and he hits it right down the throat of the goalkeeper. Just brilliant play for a teenager, man. And the guy is rapid. Who knows what his career is going to be like, but he looks exciting from just a small little samples that we've seen so far of him. And Sriracha, you know, that the Maida goal wouldn't have happened without Sriracha. Sriracha, like, the fullback, you know, like playing with jeopardy, but the guy without having much pace is such a very good dribbler. You know, he had, there was 2 sequences in that kind of open play period in the lead up to the Maida goal, where he takes it around. Shankland drives forward, passes to Nygren. Nygren plays it back to the defence. You're like, oh fuck, don't do that. We're trying to go forward. But then Sriracha doesn't stop his run. He makes an angle. He receives the ball again. He kind of feints to go outside. He draws in Cammy Devlin, but then he goes inside, drives forward, plays in the pass, and then the goal happens. That was Sriracha. And you saw probably the footage of Martin O'Neill in the changing room kind of embracing Sriracha. I don't know if we're going to get him as a signing. I don't know if he wants, because obviously Kieran Tierney is the kind of favoured left back. But what an impact this man has made for Celtic, and in that game, fan favourite, cult hero, and probably the most successful South American player to don the hoops. But yeah, just so many kind of individual moments of quality and subs making a difference. Just what emotion, what just brilliant, man. Fucking brilliant.
He has the devil in him as well, like Arujo. That's what I like about the two of them. The two of them have the devil in them. You said you know, when he went past Shankland, there was the wee interaction with Shankland and him on the touchline, where the two of them ended up squaring up to each other, and he knew exactly. Sriracha knew exactly what he was doing. Shankland's head had gone at that point. He squared up to Sriracha. He squared up to Maeda. His head had totally gone. I don't think they believed that all they had to do was turn up, but I just think that nobody everybody had said it was between Rangers and Hearts, and we just wouldn't go away. We were like a stubborn stain, and we just wouldn't go away. They just couldn't, and I think that's McInnes. I've got no respect for him. I think Shankland's a limited football player who's got lucky. He's a decent goal scorer, I suppose, but I said I would give up my season ticket if we'd signed him when he was on a free.
Really, you said that,
aye. I couldn't have went to see him playing in the hoops.
Well, he's an out-and-out Rangers fan, of course. Nobody disputes that. Wouldn't have been the first Rangers fan to play for Celtic, but
no.
Yeah.
Can I just nip in there? Sorry, just to correct Paddy. I actually believe that Honduras comes under Central America. So I will hear no Luis Palma slander.
He's away.
On this podcast.
He's away. Yeah. He's 2.6 million to Poznan. We thought we were going to have to put you on some sort of watch, James.
I think you might, because that's the first I've heard. I thought they were trying to crowdfund. Genuinely, I seen they were trying to crowdfund it to get him or something, because they couldn't afford it.
They can't afford the option to buy price, but apparently they're negotiating it down. So obviously Lawwell works in the two different places, because they're negotiating down their option to buy.
That's a mistake. I'll crowdfund it to keep him. No, but just on what you were saying, I mean, you said we played 3 at the back. I think that's brave. I think the tactics was Liam Scales, you stay there, everybody else just fucking score. And that's why I think it was on here a couple of weeks ago. I can't remember if it was a full Rangers game or whatever, but I actually said I would like to see Sriracha getting a start in the wing, and I think the words I used, and I stand by it, is he's got that mad bastard about him.
Mm-hmm. He's got a devil.
Aye, Trusty in the first half. Look, that was their tactic. Hearts' tactic was time wasting, leave Trusty on the ball, and to be fair, it nearly worked for them. Nearly.
But there was sorry to interrupt. The reason for that is because Trusty's so left-footed, playing on the right, that he can't use his right foot to ping the ball across to Tierney. So it means that if they leave him in the ball but cut off everything to his right, it's
you're forcing him to the one side. Aye, no, definitely. But even when we've had, even if it's Scales at the other side, or if it's been Murray or whoever it's been throughout the season, I think, I'm not going to advocate for Sriracha to sign and play as a centre half, but we've never, in my opinion, I don't think we've had anybody good at kind of driving into the space. And even in what was it, 10, 15 minutes or whatever that Sriracha was on the park, but no, in fact, it would be a bit longer than that, whatever it was anyway, that was what he done constantly. And that's obviously where the goal comes from. And the pass that he plays to Osmond is probably the hardest pass that's available to him. Obviously, we're outside the boot. A disgusting decision, by the way, to flag Osmond offside. But I'd be all signing him. Whether or no that it's something we was actually talking about in work, do you think he'd like to stay? Because I think anybody that signs as a left back, and it's the discussion we kind of had last year surrounding Greg Taylor, you probably know that you're going to be the backup because Tierney's not going to come out the team, and Tierney's probably played a lot more fitba than probably we were all expecting this year.
That's the thing. I think Sriracha's actually older than Tierney. I think Sriracha's 28. And I don't know if he's got a family. Like these are the reasons. If I was to play devil's advocate, these are the reasons I think that he wouldn't maybe go for. He's not going to. When he came back from fitness, he wasn't taking the jersey off Tierney. Tierney was still the number one left back. The cultural thing as well. I don't know if he speaks English. I don't know if he's got a family. Where does his family live? But presumably he wouldn't have any qualms living in Spain, for example, but does he want to move to Scotland at the age of 28 when he's not going to be a first team regular? He'll be a bit part player, despite his undoubted quality, despite the fact of that we love him already. Does he want that? Will he go elsewhere? And the fact he's came all the way from Argentina where he was playing for Boca Juniors, I think they spent a good amount of money on him, maybe about €8 million or something. But I think his transfer value right now is went down, and Boca Juniors are eager to get him off of the I was going to say the roster, but you know what I mean, the playing squad, because he takes up a foreign position, which they need to free up because he's kind of surplus to requirements. I just don't know if he would fancy the gig in Scotland. Like he's been there, done it, got the t-shirt. He's never going to equal that high again. So I don't know what the future holds for him, but what he offers on a pitch, I agree with you, James. We don't have anyone who can do that. Same time, I don't know if he could play on a wing, because you've heard that kind of cliche about fullbacks who look great, they can take people on, but whenever you're playing on the wing, everything's much more close to you, and you don't have that kind of freedom of playing into it.
When I was saying that, obviously, I'm not saying kind of if he does sign moving into next season, I'd play him on the wing. I was just more meaning it in a kind of needs must scenario, because we went through. I mean, Taneki, I don't think seen a second off at all when he started. We went through Forest, we'd switched sides, we'd kind of went through our wingers, and it's been the story of the season that we haven't had two wingers. We've kind of had Yang and another throughout the season. And I just thought maybe just for something different, for that kind of unknown quantity. But obviously moving forward for now, he'll get back to being kind of left back, or in the needs must scenario like we've seen at the weekend, get him in that role. But I'd definitely be looking into keeping him.
Aye. Well, I guess where's next? Kind of moving on to the future. By the way, somebody that just said earlier on about here it is here. The way that Kelechi held the ball up when he came on and controlled it, it shows the levels that he's played at. And it does kind of show the wisdom that Brendan Rodgers had in bringing him in. It looked like a move of desperation, and it probably was, but he did kind of matter. He did contribute when it mattered most. He scored some big-time goals, big-time penalties. And I guess I'm prepared that he's going to leave. I wouldn't see him playing at Celtic next season, but it goes to show the void that he leaves in terms of a striker who, like for me, talking about Celtic traditions, we've always been known for quality strikers back from, in my lifetime, the mid-90s, wearing this top, starting with people like Pierre Van Hooijdonk, Cadet, moving on to kind of the present day. And now we don't really have a top figure like that. And I think Celtic need a top striker, somebody who's technically good like Iheanacho. And talking about the void that he leaves, I need somebody to come in the summer who's going to take the reins, who's going to be a leader, a centre forward. I think we say every year, you want people, someone in the kind of Musa Dembele type thing who has got a physicality, who's got technical ability, who's also got a bit of pace, and he's got a bit of arrogance. That's kind of a lot of the boxes that I want ticked as a Celtic forward. I'm excited about Osmond, but I think that's such a priority position for Celtic. Tattoo James, what's your thoughts on the kind of the void that he leaves, especially with Maida very, very likely leaving as well? How important is it to get in the right type of player, the right character as well for the number 9 position?
So I think we scored something like 50 goals less this season than we did last, which it says it all. I think that a striker's is going to be the first signing, and as the wee scout says, Hawk is on the bench, and I know that we are interested in him. Just got a notification on Twitter there that Motherwell have agreed terms with Toulouse for Askew. So,
really?
So he's finalising his personal details at the moment. It says one of these Fabrizio people, not Fabrizio, but one of them like him.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks
That's
as if Askew. It is. So I've got a feeling we're going to give Martin O'Neill another year. I've got that feeling. Maybe this season he's kind of nursed the team through, and maybe if he's given another year, he'll do what he did the first time, and he'll play his way, and he'll bring in players. Maybe he just tried to nurse a team through, but I think that I don't think he's been brilliant, and he's an absolute saint, but I think we should be going in a different direction. I think we should be going in a more modern direction than Martin O'Neill. No, please God, no Robbie Keane. Robbie Keane. No.
Well, Martin O'Neill has been quite ambiguous in terms of his future.
Yes, he has.
There has also been certain indicators which might point to a future with Celtic, such as he was at a championship game or a League One game a few weeks ago, scouting apparently. You don't do that if you're planning to go back to London, after the season is done. So there's nothing being said. We're speculating at this moment. The theory of the amount of overhaul that Celtic face in the summer, from top to bottom, from board level, from recruitment to the playing staff as well, and then obviously a new manager, new backroom staff. I'm going to just play devil's advocate again for the second time tonight. With all that's required, with all the change and the need, the demand from us and the standards that we set, the demand to get things right first time after we blatantly got it wrong earlier on this season, would it be the worst decision ever to make changes, boardroom level, playing staff, maybe recruitment, but if the right candidate for a manager is not there, it doesn't present itself, which maybe it has not done so, would it be the worst decision to keep Martin O'Neill for one more year to oversee this change, but to keep us going from strength to strength, and then maybe we can identify a new manager? Like, it shows a lack of vision whenever, because Nancy never worked out. So at that point, you're thinking, well, we've got rid of Nancy, we need to get a new coach for the summer. Martin O'Neill's been brought in as the interim. It does show a lack of vision if we, secure Martin O'Neill for another year. But is it possible, with all the changes, all the complications that are going on, that it'd be the worst decision ever to keep Martin O'Neill for one more year? Again, playing devil's advocate, younger James, what's your thoughts?
It wouldn't be the worst decision ever, no, but I just think it smacks of short-sightedness. Kind of been here before, albeit maybe kind of different circumstances with Lennon and the Shivers at Hampton. But I've said for a while now, just purely because of the lack of kind of concrete rumours, that I think Martin O'Neill, if he won the league, Sunday will take care of itself. The league was the one that we all wanted, really. Saturday, sorry. But I think that Martin O'Neill will have first refusal on if he wants it for another year or two, or if it's a year rolling deal, whatever it would be, would offer him. But as I say, for me, it just smacks of short-sightedness, because we haven't really done anything. We brought the guy in, was it for Heineken or Grolsch or whoever it was, a couple of weeks ago for a job that we seem to have invented for him. Again, a school pal of Michael Nicholson. But outweigh that, there hasn't been anything. The mute and missing CEO remains mute and missing. And like, I don't want to be Debbie Downer, obviously, over the back of the weekend, but we've still no done anything to sort the kind of recruitment side of things out. Whoever it was that should be that was involved in the recruitment in January shouldn't be anywhere near it for the summer. And then there is also that side of it as well, where if we go back to last summer, and even on here, the argument was put forward that they won't back Brendan Rodgers because they won't commit to a new deal beyond kind of this season, obviously just ended. And then when it got to nearly in January, it was, well, they're only going to sign loans. They're not going to back a guy that's only here at the end of the season. And then now we're here again and we're saying, well, we'll just give him another year because there's going to be hundreds of changes. And this is just, again, I'm really trying not to be Debbie Downer, but it's just, it's a kind of domino effect of just a lack of planning at different departments, at different stages, at different times. Look, Martin O'Neill's come in and been an absolutely resounding success. Statues, stones named after him, whatever you want, it's all totally justifiable. But for me, I think Sunday is the perfect way. If he wins the Scottish Cup, it's the perfect way to bow out. And I've never, and I think I've said it on here as well, this notion that they should get a job upstairs as a director of football or in an advisory role or something like that.
He's never done that before.
Exactly. And that's why I'm kind of against it. And look, and I don't want it to sound as if I'm in any way bad-mouthing Martin O'Neill, because it's really not at all what I'm going for. But like you say, it's something that he's never done before, and we would only be doing it really as a kind of a gesture. Off the back of this season. And then I've seen people say put him in an advisory role. Maybe there's an option for that, but then I think if, say for talk's sake, we went out and appointed Ange Postecoglou, is Ange Postecoglou going to take advice for Martin O'Neill? It's chalk and cheese. And that's where I just think that Sunday, I keep saying Sunday, I think Saturday would be the absolute perfect way from to bow out and for Celtic to plough on with these changes that we all assume are going to happen. But I mean, we've already had kind of a number of months to get something in place, not just in the dugout, obviously boardroom level as well. And we haven't. We've got an interim chairman who will probably, you imagine, become permanent in that role. We're all hoping for a kind of a boardroom reshuffle. Again, everybody's probably envisaging that Ross Desmond will probably be involved in that somewhere, which again would set the support off. And then you look at the managerial candidate and Robbie Keane. And as I said to you earlier, I've got 20 quid on Robbie Keane at 14-1s with Sky. I done it as soon as Nancy got the bullet. I was right on. And Sky are on it because Martin O'Neill was only ever due to be an interim. So if that's those, obviously I'll get 300 quid off it. But as soon as I've cashed that out, I'll start moaning about the appointment. And as I say, just the sheer lack of rumours that we've had, there hasn't been anything even for like left field. Like the Wilfred Nancy thing was always kind of, his name was always mentioned, and you seen it in the betting, and you done a wee bit of research into him, and obviously it turned out to be him. There's not really been that this time. It's tended to be Martinez early doors, and then Askew get the mention, and Robbie Keane's there because it's the kind of the obvious kind of board appointed choice. But I at this point, I think I'm more or less expecting it to be Martin O'Neill for another season.
Tattoo James, I agree with kind of the fairy tale ending for Martin O'Neill to regardless of this weekend. Obviously, we're favourites to win, but the fairy tale ending for him is to leave on a high, and he exercised the demons of like Helicopter Sunday, you know, and getting that massive victory at Fir Park, winning the league against all the odds, twice as interim manager. It can't get much better than that, and he can go back and enjoy his retirement, do whatever he wants in football in terms of punditry, you know, the odd Talk Sport appearance if he still can hack the company of Simon Jordan and Jim White, and just bask in the adulation of the Celtic fans, you know. For me, it's the best way to kind of bow out on top, and he'll go down. He's already a Celtic legend, but, you know, he's enhanced his reputation. That's the ideal scenario. The other thing is that what I never liked about what he said was that he said whenever Dermot Desmond asked him to come back to Celtic, he said, "Oh, it's an honour for me to do it. It's a privilege. This man, Dermot Desmond, gave me the great esteem by offering me the job first time around 26 odd years ago." And he's in his debt. That's the kind of the phrase that I'm driving at. He's in Dermot Desmond's debt for giving him the opportunity originally, and he can never ever repay him for that. But I think it's whether he really feels that or not, I don't know. But the way that things have worked out now, he's done Dermot Desmond a massive favour this time round, albeit he'll be getting paid handsomely. But Dermot Desmond and the people that he left in charge of running Celtic left Celtic in the ship. So whoever was going to come in as an interim manager was going to be a difficult job. Martin O'Neill was probably one of the very few individuals on this earth who could have turned it around, which he did. Martin O'Neill doesn't owe Celtic anything. He doesn't owe Dermot Desmond anything. And I would like him have a private conversation with Dermot Desmond and saying, "I'm leaving. I've fulfilled my mandate. I've got his back on top of the tree. Now I am not taking on this job again next season because I've seen how you guys run this operation, and I am not putting myself through the stress of another 12 months trying to win another league when you guys are working against me, or you're so lethargic and moving forward that I'm having to double my workload in order to kind of see progress on the park." I think that he should leave with his head held high, with as a hero, but putting the ball back in the court of the board and Dermot Desmond and saying, "You deal with it now. It's your problem. I've done enough." That's what I think he should be doing. But of course, it leaves us with the problem of replacing him, which is a mammoth task. So where are you about that before we go into the cup final this weekend?
I think Martin O'Neill is a hero. He's the second greatest Celtic manager of all time, and that was before this weekend. Second greatest. But James took all my points. You were I can't believe I'm saying this, right? No, this isn't getting recorded. Right? He was 100% right.
And Lewis Palmer should be starting next season.
No,
sorry?
That's not. You're so right. Right. Our board won't give money away to a manager who isn't going to be there long term. So they'll get minimal spend. It's such a lack of long term planning. I don't want him as director of football. He's not a director of football. I don't want him as an advisor. What real manager in their right mind is going to come in with a legend like Martin O'Neill sitting there? It never works. Look at Manchester United when Alex Ferguson stayed. Look at Manchester United when Busby stayed. Look at Liverpool when Shank. It doesn't work. There needs to be a clean break. The only position that you could possibly have him in is maybe as an NED, a non-executive director, and some sort of boardroom shuffle. That would maybe bring the fans on side with to think with the board. He's done an outstanding job, but he's 74. Does he really want this? No, it can't be. It can't be Martin.
The thing is, his family lived down in London, so
yeah,
he would just a separation, you know.
the first time around, it was obviously John Robertson and Steve Walford, and they used to take the training, and Martin O'Neill would go home and then come back up on the Thursday. So he would only be here Thursday, Friday, or if it was a Wednesday game, he would come back. So he wouldn't be here the whole time. He only basically come in to pick a side and do the team talk, and it worked, right? Up until the last season, it worked. But he's done an amazing job. You're right. I can't imagine anybody else that would have taken it, right? That could have done it any better. There should be a statue put in this, outside from. Amazing. He's done an amazing job for us, but we can't. We need to be looking forward. We need to be looking forward. I keep saying to my son, the reason why Rangers will never get anywhere is because they've got no introspection. They don't look into themselves and say, this is where we're going wrong. I think that's what we do. We do look at where we're going wrong and try and fix it. That's what we need to do now. We need to see, this is what we've done wrong. We need to get the boardroom fixed. We need to get scouting fixed. We need to get the management fixed. It's a massive undertaking. You said Martin O'Neill for one more year. Okay, but are they going to give Martin O'Neill £40 million to spend? Because you know what? Kavanagh's going to give Rowe £40 million to spend, another £40 million to spend. So are we going to gain? Is he going to give Martin O'Neill, who's only going to be there for 1 year, £40 million to spend? Because I don't think our board does that.
Does that not mean we'll be 20 points clear of them next year then? If getting another 40 million to spend.
The only team that's ever spent £40 million to go down a place, finish the worst half in Europe, outstanding. I love Martin O'Neill, and when I say this, I don't mean it ever with any disrespect, because the man, he's just the second greatest manager in our history, and I don't even think it's obviously Steen, O'Neill, and probably Brendan quite a bit below, but I think that he's agreed terms with Toulouse, so he's gone, so he's out of the equation. Wow. There you go.
I'll just say this about, see, if Askew was not going to join Celtic, I couldn't tolerate him joining Rangers, because his playing style is totally different from what Rangers have done since they were, came back as a new club, because they've always been the hammer throwers, the long ball men, the tall physical guys who would try and bully rather than playing good, attractive, technical football. I've never seen him ever try to play good, attractive, technical football. And I know that Little James, you think that people put Askew unfairly on a pedestal, so I'll try not to kind of go overboard. But I was fearful of a different type of enemy that Sevco would have been under Askew, because that would have been a different type of playing style that we've not encountered from them. And I was someone like who's got a vision that Rangers have never done that yet, in this kind of in their forum. I was wary of that, and I'm glad Askew was not going to join Celtic, that he's gone away to France, and he'll probably not come back to Scotland again. That's probably the best outcome. If we weren't going to take him, then sure as hell Rangers weren't going to get him. So aye.
McInnes will be the next Rangers manager.
Oh, they'll have to go over him refusing them the first time round.
By Halloween, he will be the Rangers manager.
The other question, well, I was going to say the other question, I already know the answer. If it was Askew or Robbie Keane, I take it you would both take Askew.
100%. If it was you or Robbie Keane, I would take you.
I'd take Askew as well, to be fair to him. Can
I just say, I don't know anything about the playing style of Robbie Keane.
Only for what I watched in the Rangers, because I watched them playing Rangers earlier on this season. They beat Rangers. And I've said this before. It's the Israel thing swayed me. I'm that petty.
You're not the only Celtic fan who holds those views, which is fair enough. But from a footballing point of view, for me, I can't. It's difficult to endorse Robbie Keane when I just don't know what his philosophy is like. His playing style is like. Yes, I know that he's won leagues, but whether you would like to see his playing style at Celtic Park, I do not know. After Ange Postecoglou and Brendan Rodgers, the type of football that we traditionally like, I just don't know what type of and again, I don't know about recruitment. Does Robbie Keane depend on other people to buy his own players, or has he got an eye for players? I just don't know.
His team finished set. His team, he lost the league this year.
Aye. Right, guys. Okay, so you guys have got tickets, I believe, to the cup final this weekend against Dunfermline. So again, it's the kind of the fairy tale occasion to bow out. But obviously, we're up against Neil Lennon, who has revitalised a Dunfermline team. They've got new backing from their owner, and although they're not going to make it to the top flight this season in our division, they might be there within a couple of years. It looks like they're heading in that direction, especially if they've got the financial might. So they'll be coming in their numbers to Hampden, and I've watched them a couple of times this season. They've knocked out a lot of teams from the top flight, and they're running to the cup final. However, Celtic will be undoubtedly favourites of this one. I'd imagine that Dunfermline will be cagey. They might even allow Trusty again to have a lot of the ball to kind of adopt the tactics of McInnes. Is it going to be a cagey game? Is it going to be a nervy affair? Is it going to be a low-scoring game? Or is it going to be, everybody's off the leash in terms of let the Celtic flair players and they'll just go for it? Will it be a high-scoring game? Little James, what's your thoughts?
I do think it'll be tight. I just think that Lennon will have them right up for it. He'll have them believing that they can come out and basically win it. I think they'll sit in, which probably isn't ideal for us because it is kind of what we struggle against. Maybe it's a lesser quality player than being in the Championship, but I do think it'll be a tight game. But I could see maybe a 2-0 or 3-0 maybe. But I could see us scoring a couple of goals late on, maybe when Dunfermline kind of tired a wee bit.
And before I get to Tattoo James, the other thing is it's very likely to be Maida's final game. So just a wee kind of thought on, is he the most successful Japanese player that's played for Celtic? Apart from that, it's just going to be difficult to let him go emotionally. I mean, like, he had quite a lukewarm season up until the split, and he just came alive. It's going to be difficult letting him go as a kind of like a Celtic hero. He'll be remembered very, very fondly. So this is maybe not just an occasion to say goodbye to Martin O'Neill, potentially, but also an occasion to say goodbye to a brilliant servant for Celtic. To whichever James.
Yeah, it's going to be Maeda's last game, and that'll be sad because he's been an outstanding signing. Kyogo's was obviously a more technical player, so was Nakamura, but Maeda's just different gravy. We spoke about Arujo and Sirachi having that devil in them. Maeda's got the devil in him as well. So I'll really miss him. I think that the thing that no worries me, that's not the right word. When Lennon was with us, he knew how to set a team up to stop a bigger team playing. Like how many times he'd done it in Europe. And I think that's what he'll do again. He'll set up and he'll play it tight. He'll play it tight through the middle. He'll defend the channels, and he'll force us out wide where we're this season where we're probably weakest. That's how I think he'll play. He'll force us out wide. So I mean, Taneki and Yang will need to. And I just see it being a tough game. I think we'll win it, and as James said, I think it'll probably be. We might win it by 2 or 3, but I don't think it'll be an easy thing unless we score early. If we score early, that obviously changes everything because then they've got to come out at us, and I think that maybe makes a bit of difference. But if they can keep it tight for the first 20 minutes, 30 minutes, then I think it won't be an easy game.
I've got to be honest, I don't have any fear at all for the game. I think Dunfermline's centre forward, the guy is his name, is it Kane Hemmings or something like that? Is it? Yeah.
No, Chris Kane and Andy Todd.
Chris Kane. Aye, thanks. I don't think he really poses much threat to us. I know that he's like a kind of physical player as such, but I think they've got a couple of useful defenders. But overall, I don't see any. I've got no fear for the game. I could see it being like the St Mirren game when we beat them 6-2, but without it going to extra time. I can see that happening during the game. And in fact, if Dunfermline managed to score 2 goals against us, I'd be impressed as well. And that probably brings me on to one other thing before we finish off. I am happy to sign a new keeper for next season. Happy for Sinisalo to remain with us, but I'd like a keeper with character for next season and ability as well. But getting back to the game, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Really looking forward to it. It'll be kind of bittersweet saying goodbye to some Celtic heroes. I've got no fear about the game. And by the way, if the worst comes to the worst and we get beat, then the Huns are down to the Conference League, so it's not the end of the world. You know?
Every cloud.
That's it. Guys, so we're now an hour and 50 minutes. James, I did promise that we would only be we'd finish up at 8 o'clock, so you could cheer on the Villa. Is it nothing each right now?
Aye. It's been a decent, for kind of replays I've seen in Makutum. I'm waiting on one guy to have a shot on target for Makutum already, so fingers crossed. Griffo or something for Freiburg, so keep an ear out for £100.
And for P. McLaughlin, we're being linked with an Austrian keeper, Polster from Wolfsburg.
I think he's a young guy as well, right? And I think he's maybe 23 or 24, so I don't know if he's coming in. Would you imagine he'd come in as number 1 or as a backup?
I think that we'd be. I think that it depends how much money we've got to spend. I think there's other positions that need more attention than Sinisalo. I think Sinisalo's he's all right. Is he the greatest? No, but I'm actually the opinion of see if you gave him next season and let him develop and see if he grows into that character, because there's not much else wrong with his game. And I look at it and I see we need the players that there's players we need to spend, and I don't want to spend £3 million, £4 million on a player because you spend that and you're getting Adamu or Mavuka. We need to spend some money on players for the positions that we need. So the goalkeeping position it wouldn't be my fault. It wouldn't be my first choice.
I'd agree with that. I'd agree with that. It's not the most pressing priority, but at the same time, Sinisalo and Duhan. And then you could say we'll bring in a replacement for Duhan, to kind of shore it up. So yeah, I get you. In terms of like big money, I think midfield, wings, centre forward,
centre defence. It depends, and then you've got to put in who we're going to lose, because we're going to lose Maeda, we're going to lose Hitati, probably going to lose Carter Vickers, Engels. Callum McGregor's making some. There's been some noises about Callum McGregor going to Saudi. You look at things like that, and it's like that's that. That frightening. It's that, especially if our idea is we're going to spend £4 or £5 million on a player, because if you spend £4 or £5 million on a player, with all respect, you get Deneki, Mvuka, Adamu. That's who you get for £4 or £5 million. They're not good enough unless you're going to be really, really careful with your coaching. And then you can go out and you can find there is Bragas out there for £2 or £3 million, but for every Braga there's 10 Adamus and Mavukas, and so your coaching's got to be really top draw, and I've got no confidence in your coaching at the moment.
I think you're probably looking at ripping out the full forward line and starting again there.
Aye.
I don't think Yankins is good. He's been at spells this season. I don't think he can be a starting winger next season. No against him coming off the bench. You need a holding midfielder. I'd like to see a centre half coming in. If Carter Vickers can stay fit, then you could maybe get away with it, but I'd still like to see one coming in. You're going to need another left back if Sirachi's away. Going to need another right back probably, because still don't rate Tony Ralston. Alistair Johnson might be away as well. And then, as you say, a goalie. So it's going to be a big summer, and we're going to have a big long list. And like I say, this is all stuff that could have been done in January. It could have been done last summer. But we kicked the can down the road. And here we go again this summer. We'll get to the end of the one day and we'll be convincing ourselves we can be 2 or 3 positions short, but we'll get through until January and then rinse and repeat.
Yeah. Even Nygren could be away as well.
Wouldn't be against that, to be fair.
No.
Yeah, I would endorse that. One thing I was going to ask you guys, if you could sign one player from a Scottish team, one player who's done well this season, domestically, who would you go for?
Elijah Just. Because there's no chance Hearts would sell us Braga, because Braga's been definitely been the best player in Scotland. There's no way Hearts would sell us him.
Stephen Welsh. No, probably I like the boy Watt and I like the boy Fadinger for Liverpool, but I think that Fadinger just actually signed a new deal with Liverpool with Motherwell. So I'd take one of the two.
I hear that Slattery has left Motherwell. I don't know.
Don't know where he's gone.
Yeah, interesting. Guys, we're going to be back next week anyway. McGinty might be hosting that one, and I guess it's going to be a season review. So we're just going to be probably talking about everything more in depth, your highs, your lows of the season. Well, I've really enjoyed it tonight. I'm so glad that we're all wearing hoops. When was the last time we all wore hoops on a podcast? Who would have thought it? You know, a Celtic podcast, we all wear hoops. But, guys, thank you so much for joining us, and everybody in the comments. Thank you for watching, and getting your comments in, because these have been really good with your comments tonight. Thank you so much for that, and thank you again for everything so far this season. So we'll be back again next week, and I'm sure over the summer we'll do it. Who knows what the plan is, but we're not going to disappear over the summer anyway. We'll have a wee moan fest about where's the signings coming for. We can't stay away for a wee moan here and there. So guaranteed we'll be back on. But anyway, for next week, join us, okay? But thank you so much to the two Jameses. By the way, it's been emotional. It's been emotional that weekend. My God, can't do it again. But thank you again. Okay, we'll love yous and leave yous. Hail, cheerio.
Hail.